What up? What up? That was awesome. That's the first time I've seen that. Welcome to Both Sides of the Coin, ladies and gentlemen. This is the sports talk show where the facts always matter, no matter what JB says. The facts always matter, and political correctness does not. We're definitely going to get into some heated discussions today, as always. But at the end of the day, even when we're tired and upset, we will still stay friends no matter what. My name is Adam. What up, JB? How are you today?
I am tired.
I can
a long week.
Cranky today. Oh,
it's
man.
been a long week.
Man.
I'll tell you about it later, but it's been crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a hat on today. I was like, maybe I should take mine out. No, I'll put mine back on.
I did all my shows without a hat this week. I'm going hatless.
Oh, maybe that's that. You know what? I'm just gonna leave it at that. We're just gonna leave it at that. You know who else is hatless, spineless, terrible, and really should be out of a job. And we were. It goes into what we were talking about today. And we were having some not difficulty, but back and forth about what to talk about today. And this really stuck out to me, and just this. Angel Hernandez, and it's more than just the umpire of who he is, because if you're a baseball fan, you know how terrible he is. But I brought this to your attention because I think it feeds to the argument that I make a lot, that he, what is it, about a year ago, sued Major League Baseball for never being in the World Series or the playoffs. He sued them saying this is racial discrimination. And it proves, it goes to my point of just because you're excluded from something doesn't mean you're excluded based upon race. Sometimes it means you just suck. And this is the prime point case example. He's sitting here screaming racial discrimination. Meanwhile, we're sitting here looking at the piece of paper, right? You are getting balls and strikes correct 40% of the time compared to guys getting it 99% of the time. That's not, it has nothing to do with race. That's, you suck at your job. You suck. The only reason you have a job is because the union. You suck. That's why. It's not race. You suck. And
what are you trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is that there are a lot of nails searching for a hammer. And what that means is there are a lot of victims looking for a way to blame somebody else for what's going on. It's very true. It's very true. He's got more hair on his face than his head.
I do, actually. I do.
No, but seriously, I think this is a common theme in sports. I think that the immediate reaction, instead of let's reflect and see if maybe I was not the most qualified candidate. Maybe I was not the most qualified person. Maybe I wasn't the best at my job. Maybe it wasn't because I'm Hispanic, a woman, black, green, red, purple, indigo, whatever. It's not, I'm not, and again, I'm coming from the place of all of these, it's always a racial thing or a gender or whatever. When you keep screaming the boy who cried wolf, when you always say it's this, it's race, it's discrimination, it actually takes away from the times where it is. It's like when believe all women, every single woman says rape. Well, not every time it is. And you take credibility away from the ones that when it actually is, if every time you keep saying it and you're wrong. And that's my biggest problem is I think it actually takes away from the actual situations where there are racism, where there is discrimination, because everybody always goes to that's the go-to now. It always is the first thought, always.
So how am I supposed to disagree with you when you're 100% right in the Angel Hernandez situation?
Whoa! Oh,
on this one with Angel Hernandez, I mean, he is god awful.
Wow.
Just the other night, I thought Bryce Harper was going to have an aneurysm going after him.
No, that wasn't Bryce Harper. That was
what's his face?
Guy from the Red Sox.
Kyle Schwarber.
Kyle Schwarber. Yeah. And he was rightfully spot on. He's like, they think you suck. Or he was pointing at the Brewers. We think you suck. It's all bad. Everything is terrible. You can't ump everything. He's right.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about baseball, it's you want to have a bigger zone and you consistently call it, I'm fine with it. You want to have a tight zone, you consistently call it, I'm fine with it. It's when the same pitch is a strike and the next pitch it's a ball, that's the problem. That's the problem. And it takes credibility and integrity away from the game.
Yeah, you have to be consistent. You have to be good at what you do. I mean, you don't want to have just anybody umpire the World Series. I mean, that's the crown jewel of baseball. This guy is consistently bad.
So one thing he's consistent at.
Yes. Listen, he's found consistency, but it's not being a good umpire. How he has a job, he better make sure he pays his dues on time in full because he is the worst.
He's bad, dude. He's bad. And I just it really that when I was reading that article, because it came up, because I read the article about the two umpires, I forget who they were, that literally they put in an entire game, 300 and some pitches, right? They missed one call, one each, 99.1 and 98.9% correct strike and ball call. Right. That's insane.
Listen, I'm going to go with most umpires have a consistent zone.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I would say most. I'd say at least 90% are pretty consistent with their strike zone. If they're calling the low pitch, they're calling the low pitch. If they're calling the high pitch, they're calling the high pitch.
You're being generous.
But Angel Hernandez is in a breed his own. He is. I don't know. Maybe he needs glasses. Maybe he needs a different job.
He needs to retire.
I don't know.
But again, this is a sports show. We're talking about, the political correct and incorrect issues, right? And I really want to hammer home on this because I really think this is a perfect prime example of The Boy Who Cried Wolf, where it's a nail in search of a hammer, a victim in search of a narrative. It's exactly what this is. He does not deserve to be put in the World Series. It is objective. This is objective reality. There is no debate. Not even you can argue that, which you so kindly surrendered the argument to, which is a first.
Because he's bad. Listen, when you're bad, you're bad.
It's not a racial issue. And that is more often than not the case, where it's not a racial. And I'm not saying it's every time. I need to stress that. It's not every time. But more often than not in today's society, in sports, that is. Not a whole sport society, but in sports, it's not always a racial issue. A lot of times,
I don't know if I'm going to go that far with you, but I will go with Angel Hernandez. He's horrible. He doesn't belong umpiring the Little League World Series, let alone a Major League Baseball game.
So then why did he sue because of racial discrimination?
Why? Because he wants to umpire the World Series, and I guess he in his head he thinks he's good.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, I have a question.
In his head, the only answer is racism, because that is today's problem. Every answer to the problem, the solution, racism. That's the first answer.
No.
You can't say it's not.
No.
Come on, dude. Come on, dude.
We're not going down that hole again.
Come on. It is always you can agree with the coaching or not in the NFL, but prime example number two. You're on my screen over here.
I want to hear this one.
Number 2 is Flores. He would have been the head coach if he didn't sue. He didn't get the job he wanted. What did he do? Racism. You were going to be a head coach.
Yes, he would have been. But there are also other qualified
That's exactly the case example. Again, he doesn't get the job he wants. So what does he do? Racism. It's the go-to. He didn't wait until the whole thing played out to see if he was going to get a job. Instead, What did he say? Racism. But yet he would have been a head coach, which you don't even disagree. That's
No.
two cases, two recent prime examples where the go-to is I'm a victim in search of a narrative. I didn't get the job I want. I didn't get the World Series I want. I did not get the outcome I want.
But
therefore, it must be racism.
in the Flores defense, it's not just Flores, though.
But that's not the point. Again, I did not say every single time.
Oh.
I'm saying a majority of the time, not even a majority, it happens more. So that is a majority. But my whole argument is
You confuse it yourself. I love it.
No, my whole argument is that these instances take away from the actual times there's racism, because this is when you keep, it's like, you know, when the boy who cried wolf, right? He saw a wolf, he screamed wolf, everybody came, there was no wolf. Saw a wolf, screamed wolf, everybody came, there was no wolf. Third time, same thing, nobody came because he kept yelling it. So everybody's like, well, must not be true. And there actually was one and he died. It's the same story. When you keep saying it over and over and over and over and over and over again, you take credence and credibility away from the real issues. Not every time it's racism. Not every time it's misogyny. Not every time it's discrimination. It's not. This world is not filled with it. It was far more racist 60 years ago than it is today. Period. End of story. So you think that segregation in the South wasn't more racist than today?
I have a question.
Black president that won election twice.
I have a question. Would you rather racism you could see or racism you can't see?
That is not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. That's where we're going.
I didn't say you said that.
It was worse 60 years ago.
I don't know. I can't say what would be worse. I don't know. Is it worse when you can see it? Because if you can see it, you could combat it. If you can't see it, how can you combat a blind?
You know what I can see? You know what I can see? The most powerful man in the world was black. That's what I can see. Multi-millionaires all over the place. So it's not even comparable. It's not. It's
different.
It's right. It's very different. One, they're separated. Two, millionaires. It's not even close. And again, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying it's not even close. It was far worse in the 60s than it is today. Racism was far more prevalent and far worse of a problem. KKK doesn't exist in the same way it does today. There's no lynchings like there were back then. It is far worse in 60 years ago than it is today.
There are a lot of hate crimes going on out there.
You need to turn off CNN, dude.
It has nothing to do with CNN. It has to do with, again, an invisible enemy is a much harder enemy to combat.
Mm-hmm. Like
there's a lot of closet racism. You could think there's not, but there is.
You're comparing closet racism to segregation.
I'm saying it's different, and they both have different things that cause them to be major problems. Obviously, segregation is horrible for obvious reasons, but you can combat segregation because you can see it. When you can't see your enemy, how are you supposed to fight it?
So, is LeBron James a billionaire? And not adding up for me. Not adding up.
Why is LeBron James a billionaire?
Because he had the opportunity to come from nothing to turn into something amazing as an athlete.
And why is that? Who makes money off LeBron James?
We live in the greatest country in the world. That's why.
No, that's not a question. Who makes money off LeBron James?
You're right, that wasn't a question. I agree with you. Many people make money off LeBron James.
Right, and as we keep going higher on the chain, who is it?
Pretty sure there's less than 5. I think it's like 400 and some billionaires in the world, and he's one of them. So, not sure where you're going with it.
So when LeBron started, who made money off LeBron?
Okay, but what does that have to do with anything?
It has to do with the system that's
The
set up.
system that turned him into a billionaire, that one?
I'm not saying that the system is perfect, but it's flawed.
Of course it's not. Of course it's flawed. It's always going to be flawed.
Okay.
But you're comparing this to 1960 and segregation.
No. You compared it to that.
You're right. I said it's way worse back then. You're right. I did.
And I said it's different because, again, in the 60s, you saw what the problem was. Now you don't see the problem. You can't fight something you can't see.
Or it's not.
I'm not comparing worse. I'm telling you there's different problems.
Same but different, right? Equal but different.
Racism is racism.
Equal but different, right?
Racism is racism. It's unacceptable in any form.
But different. Equal but different.
Unacceptable in any form. There's no reason for it. Another L for you. You're racking them up. You are racking up the L's like it's you're going Christmas shopping.
Well, I'm Jewish, so I guess that means I won. So, on that note, why don't we move into?
Hang on 1 second. I want to bring that up. You never got a Christmas present, so I win that argument.
Say that.
So you see, I won. You got Christmas presents.
No. Equal but different.
There you go.
Equal but different. Exactly. I know it sounds just as stupid as when I said it as when you said it. So I'll take that W. Thanks. Anyways,
you haven't had one in a couple of weeks.
Let's stay on. I had one at the beginning of the show. Let's stay on this whole show. Let's stay on the baseball track before we end on football, because I do want to talk about football a little bit.
I have a lot to talk about football.
Joe. Let's talk really quick. I want to bring up the one article I sent you about Madison Bumgarner. It happened today, and it just goes to this whole Major League Baseball and the umpires and referees in general just having zero accountability at all. I don't know if you watched it. If you haven't, go look it up. Madison Bumgarner got thrown out of the game today in the first inning because the umpire did a check on his hand to see if there was substance, okay? And you can watch the video, and you can watch what it usually happens. The usual test is, here's my hand. They feel it. That's it. Literally, that's how fast it is. No, nothing sticky, because you can tell if there's pine tar on it, right? Done. So what did he do? For almost 10 seconds, this is what he did. He was massaging Madison Bumgarner's hand and staring him in the eye like this. Not looking down at it, not looking, staring him in the eye. Madison Bumgarner's looking him down, watching him go like, what is this guy doing? And then he looks up and sees that he's staring at him, is like, and then said something like, did you like effing do enough or something like that? And then got tossed out of the game. And it's like, there is not, Angel Hernandez bugs the crap out of me. Okay. But what bugs me even more is in general when any referee injects themselves into the game and has a vendetta against somebody and actually impacts the game. That I have a problem with. When you have this world of sports betting, when you have the Big Ten network getting bought for $1 billion, okay, when you have this kind of money getting tossed around, that takes away from the integrity of the game significantly. And there's no accountability. None. I love these strike zone analysis that tell you, 99%. That's great, because you know what it does? It kicks people in the ass. Like our Angel Hernandez that wants to sit there and say this is a racism argument. No, you're a moron. You suck at your job. Here's the stats. Objective reality. Objective reality, that umpire should be suspended. Undoubtedly should be suspended. What he did was wrong. He impacted the game, and it was clear, intentional vendetta he had against him. He was intentionally trying to get him stirred up so he could say something to throw him out of the game. That's wrong. That needs to get out of baseball. It needs to get out of pro sports, period. And this protecting the referees at all costs, it makes it look worse, and it's bad for the game.
See, these topics are weak because I'm going to agree with you. Referees have no business injecting themselves into the game. They're there to keep the game even. They're there to make calls. Out, safe, strike, ball.
The best
You know,
umpires are the ones you don't notice.
exactly. There's no reason for an umpire to, do a check more than a quick grab of the hand,
Did you
feel it,
watch the
move on.
video?
Yes, it was absolutely absurd.
Right? You agree with me. Like, and
Listen,
I'm not
like,
a Diamondbacks fan at all. Like, I
no,
have no skin in this game at all, other than I like the integrity of the game. And like that stuff, I see that article, like that pisses me off. It's a Diamondbacks game. They're not going to do anything this year, but that's besides the point. This is a symptom of a bigger problem that's going on.
it happens in every league with every referee.
Yep.
You have some that are better than others, some that are better than others that just don't get involved, that just
There's
do their
always going to
job.
be a bell curve.
But you have to, when the referees start doing this and officials start doing this, the leagues have to hold them accountable. It's not their job. Nobody is watching the game to see the umpire or the referee. We're watching the game to see the guys that play the game.
Yep. He got thrown out in the first inning. Their ace, the guy who people are paying to come see, got thrown out in the first inning because this guy's an asshole. He needs to be suspended. Period. And this stuff needs to start happening because when you send a message that it's unacceptable, it'll stop happening. Guaranteed.
Exactly. It's always, you have to start somewhere. If you just keep allowing it to happen, you give a little bit, it's going to be a little bit more and a little bit more, a little bit more. Good night, Jen. But, it's just absurd.
Subtle tossing.
It's just absurd that nothing ever gets done to these officials or these referees, and people end up watching games against, if you're a Diamondback fan, your team, your team's not going anywhere. You bought tickets, you brought your kid to the game
to go see most likely their star player, which is Madison Bumgarner. He's the ace.
And he's a Bumgarner fan. Now you got to be subjected to this. That's horrible. Say you put a bet on the Diamondbacks. Now you got money involved. This is absurd. It's unreasonable.
It's bad. So I just wanted to bring that up because it bothered me. So I wanted to at least mention it.
But real quick with that topic though, the other issue with the whole sticky stuff and the inconsistency of the baseballs, guys are getting hit ridiculous this year.
I saw that. I haven't read into it too much. I actually haven't watched a lot of baseball this year, to be honest with you. Ironically enough, I just haven't had the time to. But I mean, I feel like this is a topic every year. They always tweak the baseballs. There's always something, and it's just like, dude, Manfred is so bad. The base game of baseball is being ruined. All these like new rules. And I get like the pace of play and stuff like that, but I keep reiterating, you want to tweak stuff for regular season, I'm fine with it. It's got to go back to regular rules for the playoffs. I will say this.
I don't like playing a different game in the playoffs than you play for 162 games.
When it comes to overtime, like extra innings and pitch clocks and stuff like that, like relaxing rules is different, I think. But at the end of the day, I do, Mad Dog, I was listening to him the other day, and he brought up a really interesting point. And I have to say, I do kind of agree with him. You can ban the shift. You can, do the pitch clock and cut down time on games and all this nonsense, keep batters in the batter's box, whatever. It's like, that's not going to fix the problem. The real problem is you have 40 pitchers that pitch for a major league team throughout the year, and starters don't go past 5 innings. And you'll have 10 guys pitch, multi-game no-hitters, and you don't even know who these guys are because there's too many guys, and the star pitchers are limited and far and few between. They pitch 5 innings every week, maybe 6. And that's a big problem. And I have to say, I don't disagree. I think having all these special relievers and, all these specialists and every guy's coming in throwing 90, I think it hurts the offense. I think that's why the offense has tailed. And I think that's what really elongates the game. When you have starters going 6-7 innings and only 3 guys pitch 4 guys pitching a game, I think I know you're a baseball guy. You can't argue that that's generally going to be a better game than when you have 10 or 12 guys pitching.
Listen, the game of baseball is not the game of baseball it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's turning into a game that is almost unenjoyable.
Yeah.
Too many relievers, too many strikeouts, too many guys just swinging for the fences. It's not fun. The shift is boring. You know, I don't see how you can ban a shift, but the shift is horrible.
You have to have 2 guys on both sides of the base.
It's a stupid rule. It's your defense. You play however you want to play your defense. Learn how to hit the other way.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think that I really do. I think you cut the middle relief down, and you can do it by as simply as just cutting the roster size down. You know, you can only have.
The union will never agree to that.
I don't disagree with you. I'm not saying that to actually get this passed. I'm saying if you want to talk a real symptom, that's the real symptom of what's going on. Is you have too many pitchers. You should have your 6 starting pitchers. You know, you have 5, and you know you have your 6th guy that works in if somebody gets injured or has to miss a start or whatever. Your spot starter. You can have 5 relievers. That's it. That's all you need. That's it.
It's just horrible. It's bad baseball at this point, and it's only getting worse. Manfred's got to go.
He has to.
He needs to.
He's literally ruining the sport.
Yep.
His in my mind, his legacy was completely sewn into when he announced the cancellation of games this past year in February, and he's about to go on, and you know you have the pre-whatever recording where he's coming up to the podium. How you doing? All joke, like, dude, you just failed and are delivering probably the worst news that's going to define your entire career as a commissioner, and you're laughing and giddy. Like,
yeah,
you don't have to sit there and be crying or whatever, but like, be serious, dude. Like, this is serious. This has a big potential impact on you, and you think it's just like, who gives a shit? That's who he is. It's bad. It's bad.
Just disgusting. He needs to go. He's horrible. Don't like him. Not a fan.
Let's move on. You're going to be surprising me on this one. Draft winners and draft losers.
Yeah, and I want to hear this.
Let's why don't you start? Why don't you tell me who your winner is, and then I'll do both mine.
So I'm actually going to say the state of New Jersey, which has the 2 New York teams. I think they both had excellent drafts. The Giants with the 5 and 7 pick.
I disagree with you a little bit.
2 of their great needs met. And after that, you know, they picked up a lot of good pieces for what they needed. And I think the Jets had a great draft. Their first round was phenomenal.
I think the clear-cut winner of the entire night was the Jets. I don't even think the Giants can really be in that conversation. Not that the Giants had a bad draft.
I get you.
The Jets are clearly the winner of the draft in general. You know, I'm also going to give an honorable mention to the freaking Eagles. I hope it backfires. I really do. I think there's a chance that it could. I don't think A.J. Brown is an alpha worth $25 million a year. I think Tennessee was. I think they're right with that. He's too inconsistent. But for the Eagles, you know, instead of drafting, you know, Treylon Burks, you know, another first-round wide receiver, taking a gamble, you're getting somebody who you know is going to be good for at least 2 years. You're going to pay him for 2 years, which is all they gave him. So, you know, that's fine. And they traded a 3rd-round pick, essentially. So I think the value-wise they got was pretty good. And, you know, the rest of their draft was decent. They addressed some needs. You know, they got Walker, the defensive tackle. And then they got, what's his name, the other guy from Georgia that fell, who I don't, you know, part of me is like, I wish the Cowboys had taken him, but part of me is like, if he's falling this much, there has to be
there's always something when that happens.
There has to be a reason why.
Yep, there always is.
If he turns into a star, I'd be very surprised. And, I'm obviously biased in the situation, but I think the biggest loser is the Cowboys. I think they took a project in the first round, which, that's fine. I get taking the project. I think he has Tyrone Smith potential in 3 years. You're trying to win now, not in 3 years. So I don't get that pick at all, especially when they lose Randy Gregory and what's his name was sitting right there for the taking, the defensive end from Florida State that the Jets took. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? With that said, I will say I actually like the second round pick that they took. And the third round pick isn't terrible either. But when you waste your first round pick, that changed everything. It changed everything. If they had taken that defensive end and then taken, obviously it would have changed the second round defensive end. So maybe it works out in that regard. I don't know. I can't really criticize them because at the end of the day, they've always drafted well. They've always been spot on. The last 3 offensive linemen they took in the first round were all hits. Zach Smith, Travis Frederick, Tyrone Smith, all hits. So, he has the talent. He has the physical tools. He needs a lot of coaching, though. And I don't know if he can slide in and be a starter day one. I just don't know.
This was just a bad draft class.
For quarterback, it definitely was.
I think just in general, there wasn't much to be excited about.
I think this is going to be a good wide receiver class. I think this is going to be one of the best wide receiver classes in the last 5 to 7 years overall, where you're going to have 5 or 6 guys be alpha ones. I really do. I think this is one of the better wide receiver class. Other than that, though,
it was just bad.
Yeah,
it was ugly.
I'm curious to see what Thibodeau does. He's like James. I feel like he's Clowney, 2.0.
It'd be interesting to see. I mean, there's going to be a lot of stories. I want to see one of these quarterbacks will succeed. They're not going to be 0 for 5. I want to see which one it is. Which one, if you had to choose right now, which one do you think has the best shot with where they wound up? Yeah.
I mean, there's only 2 that really have a shot. Everybody else, to me, is not. I don't know if ever start.
Okay, who do you think?
Pickett's going to start. Do you really think he's better than Baker Mayfield? I think that was a mistake. No. I think you're better off taking, other areas, signing Baker, and next year's quarterback class is far better than this year's, or trade down and sign Baker, trade down and bank a first-round pick for next year's draft.
See, everyone keeps saying trade down with this draft. Who would want to move up in this draft? This isn't somebody did.
Carolina Panthers, who maybe want a quarterback. Maybe they want. I mean, you never know. I think Pickett would have went in the first round or early second round. So I think you would have guys that would trade up, and you can get that extra first round pick or even a second round pick that you can use for capital next year.
So who out of this group is going to have the best career out of quarterbacks?
I don't think any of them. I think they all suck. I think it's going to be another Geno Smith and who was the guy the Bills took? Florida State. Emmanuel?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be another draft like that. Christian Ponder, right? Wasn't that in that draft?
I believe so. I think what
was that, 13? I think that was 2013.
I believe so.
Horrible draft class.
I mean, if you look at guys that have a shot, Willis going to Tennessee. I mean, he's gonna, if he can learn the system, he's not gonna play this year. If he could fit into that.
I don't know.
The kid out of Cincinnati,
Did he even get drafted?
Yeah, he went to Atlanta. Third round.
Seventh round?
No, third round.
Oh, may as well have been the 7th.
That's why I thought the Giants should have taken a quarterback. Once you get to the third round, really, what's the big deal? Take a shot. Daniel Jones is horrible.
I think the wide receiver that Dallas got was pretty good prospect. I think there's still some talent in the third round. I think the issue is that This year's quarterback class is just bad.
I get that.
You've had two, excuse me, really, if you want to think about it, 3 out of the last 4 years, you've had very, very strong. 4 out of the last 5 years. 2017, you have Mahomes and Watson.
Yep.
2018, you have Josh Allen. And I guess really just Josh Allen at this point. You had Baker.
Yeah.
2019, you had Kyler. 2020, you had Burrow, Herbert, Jalen Hurts. And last year, you have Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Trey Lance.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have guys. I mean, at least 1 to 2 of them are hits of the 3 or 4 that are. I think Trevor Lawrence is legit. I think he is the real deal. I think he's going to be a very good quarterback in the NFL. He makes some throws that you just say, wow, he just doesn't get watched because he's on the Jaguars.
Well, now that he has a better coach, because Urban Meyer just was not the right guy for that job.
He's just a piece of crap.
We'll see. Now he'll have a shot to at least, have a real NFL team. But what else is going on? Anything else you want to talk about?
No, sorry, I just got a message.
No worries.
Ja Morant's my man.
Ja's unbelievable.
Dude, he is 1 layup away from being up 2-0. He makes that layup, and they should have won that first game.
They really should have.
The Warriors stole that game, and the Warriors almost stole a game too. The Grizzlies are a better team.
The
They're
Warriors,
just young.
right? And the Warriors have experience. When you experience in the playoffs is huge.
They don't have the talent though. The Grizzlies clearly have them. They're talent-wise, it's not even close.
No,
it really isn't.
It really comes down to experience versus talent, and talent can win, but you got to play your best because experience knows what to do.
We'll see. If they win, it's gonna be an interesting series. It's gonna be a very interesting series. Them and the Suns. I don't think the Mavs have a chance. I think they're done.
No, I think the Suns are clearly beher.
I think that's going to be the most interesting matchup. Is this Warriors and Grizzlies, and then on the other side, I'd love to see Philly win, but
I don't think they're gonna.
Doc Rivers, another one. How does this guy manage to screw up every single playoffs he's ever in? How? How does he do it? Why is Joel Embiid even in sniffing the game up 20-some points with 3 minutes left? Get that dude out of the – he shouldn't even be in the entire fourth quarter. He should be sitting in the fourth quarter. If it gets close, put him in. If you have a double-digit lead, you don't even – he doesn't even sniff the quarter.
Why in your right mind would you have him in there? What would be the plus side?
What an idiot.
What's the plus on that? I'd like to know. I would love to ask him that.
He's an incompetent idiot. Another incompetent idiot. The theme of the day, incompetent idiot.
Yep. There's no reason for it, and it's going to cost this team. They're going home now.
They don't have a chance.
No.
They don't have a chance. Even if Joel Embiid plays, they don't have a chance.
Who's going to win the Milwaukee-Boston series?
I think Milwaukee will win it. I think Boston just had their last hurrah with that one. I think they aggravated Giannis enough. I will say Chris Middleton is a big loss. Do you know when he's coming back? Is he out for the whole series?
Why do I think it was a couple of games?
Oh, if he's out for the whole series, then that might change my mind.
Yeah, I think it's just a couple of games, but I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Let's see. Are people commenting about it?
I hate the Yucks. They bore me.
Let's see. He's out for game 2, or he was out for game 2. He's going to miss the Celtics series.
He's out the whole series?
If he's out the whole series, I think it's a 50-50 series. I think it's a coin flip.
That's a big loss.
That's a big loss.
That's a big time player for them.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not really a star, but he's solid.
Well, he's the Robin to Giannis's Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and that changes everything up. That's tough.
I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, either way, I still think it's going to end up being the Bulls in the conference finals. And I think whoever gets into
Bucks?
the West. What's that?
You said the Bulls. You bet the Bucks?
No, I'm saying I think the Bulls are going to get to the finals regardless of who wins the Bucks and or not the Bulls.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah, I didn't mean the Bulls. The Heat. I'm thinking, what's his name? Jimmy Butler's on the Bulls.
Yeah.
No, the Heat. The Heat. I
I
think
got
the Heat,
you.
no matter who wins the Milwaukee and Boston series, I think the Heat are going to the finals from the East. I don't think that
Really?
series matters. Yeah. I just think they're the most evenly distributed team.
You realize we're going to have to listen to John Shear if that happens.
Listen, I doesn't say I'm cheering for it. I'm just saying I think that's what's going to happen.
I want to see the Celtics win.
Either way, it doesn't. My point was, it doesn't matter who wins the Celtics or Bucks series. Heat are going to go to the finals. It doesn't matter who wins in the East at all, because whoever goes from the West is going to destroy whoever's in the East.
Oh, without a doubt, the West is much better.
West is all three teams that have a chance to get to the finals. Suns,
you could actually take all
Warriors.
4 teams out of the West right now and put them against any team in the East.
I think the Mavs. It's a coin toss. They're especially without Luka, and the Mavs. Luka needs a number 2. He needs a Chris Middleton. Until he gets that, they're just gonna be at best. But
it's not their year, but they'll get better.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying this year. But the Suns, the Grizzlies, and Golden State, any of those 3, and let's also remember too, Mr. Ogre, Steven Adams, the Ogre. He hasn't played in this series yet. He's out with COVID. Yes. He's a big presence down low. So, I mean, I think that's an important factor to consider. I think the Grizz are going to win it. I think they're going to give the Suns a run for their money.
I hope so. I'd like to see Ja.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought this time last year, right? Who would have thought that we'd be sitting here talking about Ja being the best player from that draft class?
I kind of did. I figured. I just had a feeling he was better than Zion.
I still don't even know if he's better than Zion. I just don't. It's an availability type thing, right?
Listen, Zion's going to play for the Knicks eventually.
I don't know, man. He should have played this year. I don't know why he ruled himself out. They had a decent team. They really did, and their coach is good, man.
He's hurt.
He's not actually hurt.
He's hurt.
He could have definitely played.
He's hurt.
You're hurt. Your ego is hurt.
Him and Ben Simmons.
You in these arguments.
Him and Ben Simmons who went back surgery.
Don't listen. I'm not saying I'm a Zion fan, but you cannot put anybody in Ben Simmons' class. That dude is in a crybaby class of his own. Talk about pampered baby mama bullshit. Ugh.
He's horrible. He's not good.
No. Can't stand that dude. Can't stand him. He's here in Philly. And, I think that was probably like the most even trade you're ever going to get, because I think Harden is done. He's too busy eating hot dogs. And I think Simmons is done. He's too busy looking at a picture of himself. So, perfectly even matchup. In any event, I think that's all the time we're going to have for today. JB, tell us, where can we find you?
Jerry Jones got in a minor car accident, by the way, on the way to the hospital.
He's on the way to the hospital?
Just reported, yeah. Breaking news on both sides of the coin. So, Sideline Sports Tuesday night, NBA Carousel Monday night, South Florida Tribune football show Wednesday night, here every other Wednesday. Everywhere there's a big event going on. JB_ the program on Twitter. And if you're watching on the YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Fox Sports 1340. Big welcome to you guys. Glad to see you guys tonight. Adam, what about you?
Well, you can always find me on my website, adamgoldsteincpa.com. I know tax season is over, but got a lot of guys on extension, bookkeeping, tax, valuation. If you have stuff going on, the IRS money, you need somebody to help you out, give me a call. Find me on my website, like I said. Instagram @golds_cards. Selling sports cards too on the side. That's going to do it for me.
So make sure you guys hit subscribe. If you're not, subscribe now. Catch you later.
Peace.